Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Network. It is my pleasure to be bringing you some of the best Elder Scrolls Legends content on the planet. Here at the Network, we only bring you one game at a time because anything more than that would be a spectacle, would it not? So we're going to go ahead and kick the game off, kick our session off here with Sorgatem. That's right, Sorgatem, Nim's Doom running Redoran, and on the other side of the map, also running Redoran, a mirror match, is Kucho Flea, or Kucho Fly, depending on your persuasion, the gate closer, and we will see if he can in fact close the gate on Nim's Doom. First leading off, Sorgatem throws down the 5th Legion trainer. She's beautiful and premium. She's still holding the sword in the wrong direction, and Kucho Flea also drops down a 5th Legion trainer. This is turning out to be the mirror match that we expected. We'll have to see if this is going to be a very heavily rallied type deck, which is what you would expect to see in Redoran colors. Skintown comes down with a nice buff. He is going to be able to consume the 5th Legion trainer if he is not addressed in some way, shape, or fashion. We'll just see if Kucho Flea can get any kind of value out of the 5th Legion before she bites the big one. She does, and she does again. So good value off of the 5th Legion trainer before she perishes to the very scary, one of the ugliest bastards in this entire game, the Skinned Hound. There are some out there who may actually think he is cute, cuddly, or friendly, but I would have to say that he is nightmare fuel for most of us. And good buff on the 5th Legion, able to make perfect trades, and Sorgatem has a very good start to the game. A relatively full board for this being turn 3 actually. Turn 4, sorry. I was right the first time. Always right the first time. And the big old Hive Defender comes down. Times like this, when he's so big against such comparatively small cards, you wonder, how in the world is this a 4 cost? But it cuts both ways, of course, and we're going to see a Faded Wraith getting the least value possible. It will still draw a card. Never mind. Sorgatem playing a little bit of mind games with yours truly. Throws down the Wanderer, who will bring in Sky Shard, a support you very rarely see. It makes every card more expensive, but also beefier in the power and defensive categories. So every card will come down now. As you'll see, it will be marked in red. It means it is more expensive, but it's also got some extra stats to it. And holy cow, that is a beefy Faded Wraith. 4-card draw. Kucho Fly may not be ahead on board or in point total, but now definitely has a card advantage. And the Chandler Bing coming into Sorgatem's hand, not what he needs right now, because his health is doing just fine. He's not going to want to use that until he takes a few hits, gets a few more cards, but he's not running low on cards himself either. We might be seeing the Clansman come down here. It seems like it would be a good time for him, and in fact it is. Great value card there. Not only does it give you a rally, but when it dies, it also gives you a rally. So really the only danger you have to look out for is being silenced. Otherwise you are getting some value out of that 3-4 body. Faded Wraith cleaning up the field lane. Sorgatem shifting into the shadow lane. And we see our first Daedra, ugly little turd muffin, but that's okay. It is not affiliated with Invade. Always those Daedra have the misfortune of being lumped in with that. We've got to remember that there are good Daedra out there. Well, good bad Daedra out there. They don't necessarily all partake in the invasion. Although I think by canon they do. But anyway, things are starting to change a little bit in favor of Kucho Flea. Wish I could pronounce that name right. No, if I am. Another support hit support. And, my goodness gracious, we actually now have a second game going on. Apparently there's no other network airing this, and so I have to take on that responsibility myself. So we have Nano, the Mastermind, against Apollonius, the Mooncatcher, in another mirror match, this time in Guildsworn colors. A Piercing Javelin comes down and is going to nuke that Clansman, giving the buff to the Faded Wraith, which is going to be great for Sorgatem, who now has cards to buff his health as well as his card total. Meanwhile, Nano has a ton of cards in hand. We are seeing a Stealer of Secrets there. In addition to some Nord Firebrands, it doesn't take a genius to see that this is probably going to be a Stealer of Secrets OTK deck, and so we're not going to see Nano doing a whole lot of interaction. He's going to be doing a whole lot of removal, going to try to take out those Drain creatures to make sure that he doesn't have a ridiculous hurdle to overcome in that OTK, the smaller number he can get down to. Ideally, he'd like to be sitting at 26 for the purest of OTKs to be able to take it down, breaking all the runes at one time. And meanwhile, back over here, Faded Wraith, finally, Sorgatem plays it, and it does get that value that he was hoping for, a 4-6, exactly what Kucho Flea did, and it is actually proven to be very good. He now has plenty of options to work with. A big old 4-5. Usually those things are like a little 1-2, very petite, but it comes down with a nice size. And meanwhile, Nano is continuing to clean up the board, making sure there is nothing that is going to punch him in the face. Right now, Apollonius not doing much attacking himself, so we could be very well seeing a Stealer of Secrets mirror match on this side of on this game as well, as neither one seems to be particularly keen on going on the aggressive, although Apollonius is close to drawing blood. One punch to the face, and it will be done. Piercing Twilight is going away by the camel, and the red year is taken as a great action card to clear the board in case things get a little dicey. We'll see if that happens. And meanwhile, Sword of Gem hits a prophecy, and another piercing javelin. I feel like we just saw one of those moments ago. It's going to mean that Kuchofili currently has a much more impressive board, really running low on health, especially after this 5-5 comes in and takes him with a poke. Even though you got to bear in mind, though, there is that Oreo cookie gal to which Sword of Gem does not have an answer for. And so even though he has got Kuchofili down to 3 health, he's going to heal for at least 4, perhaps more, depending on what other shenanigans he's going to play. Meanwhile, Nano, with a camel and the 4-4 Wolfie boy, 4-4 gets destroyed by the cat with a funny hat. And another prophecy, this third prophecy we've seen, or second prophecy we've seen, and it's a firestorm. It is a great punishment for Nano to Apollonius, saying, "Do not strike my face, I don't like it," and playing more actions. It's curious to know whether or not Apollonius actually knows what he's up against at this point. We'll see. He has broken a rune, in fact. Drawn first blood, and when that happens, no matter what strategy you were actually employing before, you are now the aggressor, and most folks will go in on it. Speaking of which, we've got a huge 8-7 Oreo cookie gal over on Kuchofili's side of the board. Edict comes down to nuke the Divine Fervor, or no, was that I believe it might have been another one of those Sky Shards. It was the Divine Fervor. Yes, there we go. Sorry, folks. Trying to hold the fort down amidst all this confusion. And right now, Kuchofili is in decent position. He has quite a formidable board. He is going to lose that drain, which is good for Sword of Gem, but he needs to be able to push the advantage before Kuchofili can put down more bodies. Meanwhile, Nano is still just removing cards from the board. He's down to 24 health, not too shabby. Apollonius does not seem to be in any hurry, but then again, his cards are getting removed as soon as he puts them down, and that is going to warrant a removal as well from Nano, who does not want Apollonius to be draining too far above that 30 mark, just because every time he does, that is going to make it harder for Sealer of Secrets to do her thing. It's going to put that OTK further out of reach, so we'll see if he's able to keep that distance short. Meanwhile, Kuchofili now has control of the board. He has control of the board, in fact, in both Shadow and Field Lane. Sword of Gem has some decent cards there, but nothing really for card draw, which is what he needs right now. It does have the Crusader's Assault that he might be able to use to good effect if he can get a board down there, but it looks like Kuchofili is going to be starting to go on the offensive. And he's got some drain down there, so he's going to heal. Well, not some drain, but he's got a method to heal, and he's got a guard down. So Sword of Gem, once he has a board presence, he is going to have his work cut out for him trying to get through those defenses. And Chandler Bing comes down, giving him a much-needed boost. Now he's up at 18, and this game is sort of getting away from Sorgatem. And you have the Nano playing some of those firebrands, trying to get them out of his hand. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in his hand, and the board gets wiped. It very well could be a mirror match. Apollonius with a ton of removal, and Aren, of course. She's kind of ubiquitous when it comes to anything in mage colors. You would have to be running very, very few actions indeed for her 5-5 body and effects to not be worth the inclusion. Firebrand getting him down to 26, but not going to push any further unless I am grossly mistaken, which I very rarely am. And Valus, whatever the crap his name is, never gets played, actually gets played here today, and he's not going to be used to do 3 damage to Apollonius unless I am grossly mistaken. He is going to do it to his own face. He is, but he's also going to heal, so it is kind of it's a wash. Meanwhile, Edict coming down for Kuchofili nukes another support. So Sword of Gem, whose benefit or whose advantage initially early on was in all those, and another piercing javelin prophecy. And this is going to be a close one. Right now, he is teetering on the brink. Who knows what Kuchofili may have in his hand? If he has a aspect of her scene, could very well end up dead next turn. So we decided to take out the 3/3 instead of one of the bigger bodies, just to make sure that he was not going to die to a charged creature. Although he would have been it wouldn't have been close. Meanwhile, Execution comes down and kicks off the. I don't know his name, but who cares? It wasn't the conspirator. It was somebody else. He's dead now. Who cares? Piercing Twilight. What is she going to banish? Queen's Captain. The cat with the funny hat is gone now. Doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Draw power for his opponent and removal. Meanwhile, Sword of Gem now in control, meaning it's his turn. Definitely not in control of the board, but he's got down a Oreo Cookie Gal who's similar to how she helped out Kucho Flea regain some of his health and bring him out of the depths. Looks like Sword of Gem is going to use that to his benefit as well. She's going to be able to trade effectively with a 4-5 in front of her. In fact, Sword of Gem has some good trades, favorable trades coming up in that field shadow lane. And oh my goodness, we just saw Champion of the Arena with its big goofy head. Don't know if it's a bull or a man or a bull man or a man bull, but in any case, he was put to good effects. Probably caught Nano by surprise, caught us by surprise, speaking for myself only. But of course, he met a fate with the Spirit Knife. Or Fell the Mighty, I don't recall which one, or Piercing Javelin, could have been any of them. I'm trying to keep track of both of these, and it is not going as I had hoped. But Defensive Bruma comes down for Sword of Gem, and he is making the moves. Is he going to take out 5th Legion? He does. Is not going to want any more of those buff cards coming down. Meanwhile, Apollonius, running sort of low on cards there, is willing to put down... is willing to use Crusader's Assault to draw a few more cards, but he is now just all in. And Kano coming down, he is really pushing the offensive, trying to take out Nano. He may understand. Oh my goodness gracious, and what a turn that is. Takes 5 from Ankano, and then another 6 from the charging Tazcad. So really horrific turn. And oh my god, we now have a third game. A third game, which, oh goodness gracious, it is obscured here by the banner. It is JShades versus Phillips 731. This is our first non-mirror match of the day. We do join them in progress. JShades with a slight lead there, coming in with a very aggressive deck. While these other two games have been much more control-oriented, JShades is going for face. This game could be over very, very quickly. He is up against a Redoran, so we've got 3 Redorans on the board and 2 Guildsworn. JShades making good use of his cards. And then Sword of Gem now getting reinforcements from his Fated Wraith. 6 card draw, including Chandler Bing. It looks like, and he is way out of the ton of that now. His health total, it's been quite a swing here. Meanwhile, Nano is actually on the back foot, really circling the drain. 6 health to work with here. It's really getting dicey. He is trying to just keep that board clear, make sure there's nothing on there that can get any kind of buff. But in these colors, you have lightning bolts, you have all kinds of reach that he has to contend with. So Piercing Twilight will be great as a guard and also to get rid of possible reach like lightning bolts. Anything that has been played, he can banish. Meanwhile, JShades continuing to work his magic. He's got 2 lightning bolts in hand. His opponent only has 12 health. That's only 4 that he needs to do based on rudimentary math. And he just needs to be able to push that last bit of damage. Meanwhile, Sword of Gem still on the advantage. Kucho Flea has the advantage in numbers, but Sword of Gem has it in beefy bodies. One lethal creature on the board. It's going to take out Sword of Gem's 6-7 probably next turn. And Apollonius, nope. Kano gets rid of the Piercing Javelins. That is what we see. And Aren comes down there, and she's going to give him a raiding party, which is really actually a great call because that is what he needs. He was all out of raiding parties. Now he is just needing that Mentor's Ring in order to do his OTK. Stealer Secret sitting at 22, so not quite enough for an OTK, and this is going to demand a red year, I believe. Meanwhile, Kucho Flea is pushing the advantage against Sword of Gem, again, who has bigger bodies but fewer of them, thanks in no small part to his... And there we go, another one filling the board. My goodness, that is the second, if I'm not mistaken. One of those. I can't recall what they're called. Conscription. So Kucho Flea continue to put the pressure on with those cards. It's the granddaddy of all spawn cards. It dwarfs the Old Salty's Assault by far. It also predates Old Salty's Assault, if I'm not mistaken. So Chandler Bing coming down at a ripe time is going to keep Sword of Gem in the game. He has 1 rune left, so a slight advantage over Kucho Flea, who has nothing. All Sword of Gem needs to do is be able to punch him in the face and take out that 27 points of damage. Meanwhile, JShades has got his opponent down to 8, but he is now being stonewalled by some Dargans and some guards, and it is going to be a really difficult time for him to make that last little bit of push to get that lethal in there. Meanwhile, Nano is going to drop the douche. He's not going to ping the face of either one because he doesn't want to put himself in any greater danger, so he's just there as a guard. Meanwhile, Ugnip, friends, joins the fray against Villino. Again, not a mere match. Guilt's-Worn against Hilalu. And we'll see if this is going to be another quick game or if this is going to be another slower contest. Got a little bit of discussion going on there. And we'll rejoin that game in a moment. JShades still trying to make progress. His opponent, Philip, still sitting at 8 health, thanks to the dude with the 4-4 in the breakthrough. A lot of big bodies here. More than enough to finish off JShades on this turn. I believe that's 4, 8, 16, sorry. 8, 14, 20, 27, 31. More than enough to do JShades in, but it looks like Philip is going to just circle around. Wish we all had that much free time on our hands. But it is going to give JShades an opportunity to make a comeback here. Meanwhile, Kucho Flea, Sortigem with a ton of cards. Kucho Flea running dry. And JShades with a happy bit of prophecies there, showing why sometimes it is not good to actually push that advantage. Although Philip has more than enough answers for it, is able to boot away one of those pesky prophecies and continue to push damage. And it looks like he is planning to finish this off right here and now. He sure can, easily, without breaking that last rune, without playing any more cards. But he decides to play another card, Unrelenting Force, and is going to go for it. Meanwhile, Ugnip is shackled by the Great Snake, and the game is over with. We missed that, unfortunately. This is turning into a debacle. Sealer of Secrets, OTK, here it comes, charge, and hits face. Game over. Nano able to channel Sealer of Secrets, and meanwhile, Sortigem triumphs over Kucho Flea with just some really stellar gameplay. So there you have it, folks. Four, that's right, 4 games in 1. The spectacle is flying, and it was a good experiment. We'll just see how well it actually turns out and how well anybody was able to follow or wanted to follow any of those games. But thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we won't have this kerfuffle next time. Until next time, keep playing.